on my channel as well.
Yep. Sounds
All right.
Definitely. Please do. All right. And I've got my local running. Josh?
Everything's running.
Alvin? Beautiful.
Yep.
Alvin?
Yep.
Fantastic. All right, let's see.
All right.
Cool. And we're in. Like Flynn. Who is Flynn?
That movie in Like Flynn. I've actually, the only reason I know that movie is because Austin Powers in the first Austin Powers said it's his favorite movie, but I've never actually seen that movie.
Oh, I thought I was the kid from Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah, that too.
Just never know sometimes.
That was probably like the weirdest arc of Breaking Bad. I mean, I get it, like what the purpose of it was, but the whole arc of like him changing his name, and then he had that friend Lewis, who like popped up in like 2 episodes. That was
he was always around.
Yeah,
you know, like Lewis is picking me up, but oddly enough, I didn't remember him having a disability. Like when I started watching it again.
Oh, with CB, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I actually think I remember reading the pilot script way back, and that was actually, because I didn't know if it was a thing where it's like, because like you said, it's something that really isn't super important to the show or the plot of the show. I didn't know if it was a thing that was like written initially, and it turns out it was. It was in the script. Yeah, but I kind of liked how, like, to your point, they don't really make a big deal out of it. It's not like it comes up occasionally when it does, but they don't make a big, like, there's not like a whole subplot of like Walt Jr. like, overcomes, whatever. Yeah.
Because that'd be kind of,
that'd be really weird.
Yeah, right. It's like one has cancer, the other one has cerebral palsy. Like,
or it's like, do you remember
double the methamphetamines.
Do you remember the episode where they tried to do they tried to give like Marie an arc, and there was she was a shoplifter. Oh no, sorry.
Yeah, right.
I remember that.
She went to like open houses, and it was like, okay, like I get what you're trying to do with like showing her because Hank is, whatever, but like it was such a weird arc. I don't really know if you're gonna go that route, at least like develop it more. But yeah,
I think at that point they were just trying to see, because so my Breaking Bad theory is that they didn't expect it to go on as long as it did, and once it got like super popular and became a part of the zeitgeist, they were looking at possible avenues to like stretch it out further, and I think that was an experiment.
That makes sense.
It does make sense, but I still don't understand like why she was in purple so much. Yeah, we're talking about Breaking Bad. Hey, everybody.
Yeah. I think it was, well, I know like they said that color coordination was like a huge thing with Breaking Bad. Yeah, I think Walt's green, Skylar's blue, Hank is orange, and these colors are kind of and they're used like throughout the show. Like I think at the end of season 4, Walt is wearing like a really bright green shirt that kind of, it's supposed to, what's what I'm looking for, symbolize him kind of like becoming Heisenberg officially. But yeah, that was the issue, kind of like you said, Al. It's like it was really fleshed out when it came to like Walter and even like Jesse to some extent, but in terms of the other characters, not so much. Like they didn't really. Hank probably the most. He probably had the most substantial sub arc.
Yeah. He definitely did. But because I'm actually like rewatching the show now. I'm probably like in season 3, and the show really got good, like really picked up when the guy who plays Saul like enters.
Oh yeah, Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad.
Really?
Hot fucking take.
Yeah.
Thank you. Better
Yeah.
Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad, and I'm saying that as a person who thinks that Breaking Bad around season 3 became very fucking good. But Better Call Saul was better than Breaking Bad.
Thank you. I almost think that like I understand like the argument of like, well, Breaking Bad was like, and I agree with this argument where it's like, well, Breaking Bad was like the first go at a lot of these ideas, whereas Better Call Saul was able to perfect them because they already had that test run. And it's like, I agree, but that is why Better Call Saul is better, because they were able to, everything that was like experimental in Breaking Bad, and they were kind of getting their feet wet, they had mastered come the time of Better Call Saul. Like all around, I think it's just all is. That I thought that was always Breaking Bad's weakest point of not really, the side characters weren't super fleshed out. It was mainly Walter, which is fine, but I think Better Call Saul was so much more rich because of the huge cast of characters and how fleshed out they were.
I've never seen Better Call Saul, so I would have to take y'all's word for it.
It's on Netflix, so if you get a free moment and you just like want to start something, you know, I definitely do it. I definitely think, and looking at the comments for Snowfall, I definitely think Snowfall. The reason why I think Snowfall competes well with Breaking Bad is because the core premise of Snowfall actually makes sense. I'm very bullish on the fact that the core premise of Breaking Bad makes absolutely no fucking sense. Snowfall makes perfect sense. Everything,
come on,
everything fit. Like I was like, okay, all of these characters, all of their their motivations and everything makes sense.
Like you agree to the stupid initial premise.
Agreed.
Then it's good. But it is kind of like a silly.
I mean, that makes perfect sense.
I can't afford my bills. I'm gonna become a drug
Once you get past that initial barrier, it's good. But for me, like I'm just gonna be honest with you,
silly premise.
It was 8 episodes before I got over how dumb the initial premise was, and then like we talked about this last time, and then shit kept coming up, man. Like when you find out how qualified this motherfucker was. This motherfucker could have been like, anything.
Bruh, you could have done so much shit. Like, just get a job. Like, literally a job as a project manager in any chemical company. You could have, as a consultant. Like, there's no way he couldn't get a better job. Like,
right.
Please
just being the teacher.
He could have been making. He could have been making a meal. Teacher. He could have been making a meal a year. And also, and again, you also got to think about. So, and the example I brought up last time was my investments professor has literally worked with like the Federal Reserve. He wrote a lot of core policies for the Atlanta Fed, like way back when. Maybe a physicist. Numbers are numbers. So if you're like that good at what you do and you actually really understand core concepts, this motherfucker could have did anything. This motherfucker could have played around on some shit, got some R packages, put together a Python script or what the fuck ever, using his genius and his know-how, and like probably could have did anything.
Because this motherfucker was building like fucking time-sensitive radio bombs. Like he was a bona fide genius across multiple like different industries, which was allowing him to be a super duper kingpin. He could have just done that in the regular white market or whatever you would call it. Like, why was he this super dangerous, low profit? Like low-key, he wasn't even making that much money, and it feels like he kept losing it half the way through. Like it just didn't seem like a good plan at all.
But I agree with you, Eddie. Once you suspend that.
It's a great show.
The acting is phenomenal. Like I think like
it's a great premise.
The core acting is phenomenal. Yeah.
Well, I think that was
and
sort
honestly,
of.
At the time was,
and I don't know if we spoke about it last time, but I think that is in part why the show. What's so interesting about watching Breaking Bad a second time or even a third time is when you rewatch it, you those kind of things stick out. The idea of like, because like again, if you ask people like, what's the show? It's like, oh well, he gets cancer and then he has to become a drug lord to provide for his family
to pay for it.
anyone
pay for the cancer.
But anyone who's actually watched the show is like, when they rewatch it, they're like, well, that's actually not true. It's way more. It's like he doesn't have to. He had a lot of options. He really chose to, and then it becomes more about, is this something that he was forced to do? He was forced into. Or is it more of a story of a guy who realizes he's about to die and decides he wants to kind of be a badass for once of his life?
Yeah. Now that's fair, because I was gonna say the thing that seemed unrealistic to me was his character just didn't at that point in the show when we first start, he's in such a defeated place that it didn't make sense for him to go such a rah-rah route. Like I understand a person could just be like, look, yes, I could, be a consultant for DuPont or whatever, but I actually want to just do some wild shit. He seems so scared and so pussy at the beginning of the show that doesn't seem like the kind of decision that character would make. Now, Heisenberg, I could see him making that decision, but that early Walter White, it was like he was terrified all the time. I just couldn't see that character being like, I want to be involved in the drug shit. Like,
which is why the shit sucked until he fucking killed Crazy 8. Like after that shit, that's when like shit picked up for me. Sense. Like I was like, okay. I was like, got you.
Now he's already in too deep almost in a way where it's like he's like, might as well keep going.
And he's like, oh, the power. I like how that felt. That shit felt kind of good. I want more of that. Then it makes it. Then it's like, okay, cool. You're doing this because you want to be a drug kingpin, not because you want to just pay for your cancer. I mean, you kind of want to hit two birds with one rock, kind of thing, and that makes sense, you know.
I will say that. No, go ahead, man.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say. I almost wondered, to your guys' point, if when Vince Gilligan wrote the pilot, if he didn't kind of realize what story he was almost telling. Like, I almost wonder when he wrote the pilot, oh no, this is a story of like a meek guy who is forced into the drug life to pay for his family. But then as the show went on, they started to realize, oh, it's actually more interesting if it's more of a, he wasn't really a good guy. He wasn't at any point a good guy. He was more of this like really bitter, angry bastard, basically, who just be like, people say that it's like, oh well, he wasn't bad. It's like, just because you aren't committing like heinous crimes doesn't mean you aren't like a bad person.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But like, even before that, but yeah.
Is it fair to say that like the trajectory of his life probably changed because he didn't end up with Gretchen?
Yes.
Was Gretchen his previous girl?
Yeah, that was great.
They had like a
lady. Yeah.
Wait, was Gretchen the one who was married to the other dude in the house that he broke into at the end?
Which was also Walter's friend. Like they started that company together. Like Walter was basically half of that, and then Gretchen ended up getting up with, I think his name was Elliot or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so because it was like, damn. It's like that song, like man, what's the ultimate hating song? It's like an old school like songs, like it was like a haters anthem. If you actually listen to the lyrics, that used to be my girl. That used to be my girl. You know what I'm saying?
I never would have thought of that.
Be my girl.
The international haters anthem. Everybody knows this song.
Everyone knows this song.
It's like a Mario song.
I wish that had Jesse's girl. That's a hater song.
Jesse's
that's
girl.
A hater song.
No, so
that's a real hater song.
So 2 points. One, the wildest song in that vein, Josh, from back in the day, Bobby Womack. I wish he didn't trust me so much.
Ooh, yeah,
is the wildest fucking song I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Wait, what song?
Dog for that.
Okay,
so I'm gonna derail the whole conversation just to talk about this song since Josh talked about the Womack anthem.
Go for it.
So the song is about a man who's like got this friend, and he goes into how good their relationship is. Who's like, this man trusts me with his life, but every time he leaves me alone with his wife, I wish he didn't trust me so much. And it's also art imitating life, right? It's art imitating life, right?
Shit.
Because if you look at Bobby Womack's history,
that's wild.
I want to say it was Sam Cooke's wife, right? That he got with Sam Cooke's wife like immediately after, like Sam Cooke died.
He wrote that song.
He wrote the song before. He wrote the song before.
Life imitating art. Okay. That's between the two options. That's less bad, but that's terrible. It'd be crazy if he did it first and then wrote the song. Like, looking at him as like, I wish that nigga didn't trust me so much, because
there's no way.
Pussy was.
There's no way somebody should have let him get in the studio and do that shit. But
the producer's like, what the fuck is he saying?
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ! Is this legal? I think that's a hate crime. What the fuck?
Yeah. But
man, those dudes were wild back then.
Yeah.
But the beat though.
The beat's
put
too
anything
sick
on
to
a
not
track.
release.
Low key, he was singing his ass off. But
ain't no love.
Circling back to like shows that like do similar things. Like, I think there are shows that have similar like plot issues, but at some point they lean into it. So the best example recently, I mean, and I can think of a ton, but the best example recently is Suits, right? So the whole like Mike Ross is faking to be a lawyer so that he can help Harvey with cases. It's kind of ridiculous. And I think it's around season 5, 6 where Harvey's like, well, you know, we could have just hired you as a consultant and we could have just avoided all of this like season 3 nonsense about like you potentially going to jail and like all this shit. And like they kind of address that in a point.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Or like Eddie, we've talked about this, right? Tony Stark doesn't have to be in the suit. Does not have to go out.
Literally
doesn't have to be in the suit at all. And like they basically ask him. Well, they have not. They don't ask him, but they have like internal monologues with him saying like, "I'm basically doing it because I fucking want to." Like it's an adrenaline. It's an adrenaline thing. It's an ego thing.
No,
like
same thing with Batman and shit. Every time this motherfucker fights the Justice League or Superman in a fucking big ass mech suit, it's like, why are you in it? We invented like Bluetooth and wireless like shit. Like everybody has the ability to like control a drone. Why is Batman inside this motherfucker? Like, and even very dangerous.
Even in Iron Man 3, there's a whole
like I can use an RC car. Why are you using Batman technology?
In Iron Man 3, there's the whole mech army.
They're literally your mech armies.
It's attached to his brain, so there's no latency. Like it's just doing what he's doing. He doesn't have to be in the suit. So, but they address that in the comics. Like he's like, yeah, I don't have to do this. But I want to do this, so I'm doing it.
I just like fighting niggas. That's what I just like this shit. Like I understand and I appreciate the honesty of just being like, now I want to really feel like it's my hands fucking this nigga up. Like, okay, I guess, you know.
Alvin, speaking of that, have you guys ever heard the Armageddon story? Michael Bay?
No.
Yes.
So you know, so basically the plot of the movie is, hey, there's this asteroid coming to Earth about to kill everyone. We have to get these oil drillers. We have to train them to be astronauts and then send them up so they can drill a hole and then drop the nuke. And then apparently, this is how the story goes. Like halfway through production or like late in production, Ben Affleck goes up to Michael Bay and he goes, "Hey, Michael, so just a thought. Wouldn't it be easier to teach astronauts how to be oil drillers than teach oil drillers how to be astronauts?" And Michael Bay just looked at him and said, "Shut the fuck up," and then he walked away.
You shut your mouth, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, you know, look, you kind of, for a lot of these stories, you just need that initial like suspension of disbelief in order to get through a story, because really like half of any story that has any kind of, because in real life happens. In real life, you kind of make a sensible decision or you get shot early on. Like you're not going to be a drug dealer with like 5 seasons of content. You just get killed, you know, your first night on the job because you don't know what you're doing. And that's just,
hey man, on The Wire, them niggas was making it like 3 seasons.
See, and I appreciated the realism of The Wire because it was just like, yeah, nobody makes it out this game.
Yeah, nobody fucking lives. Like, nobody wins. Like everybody loses. The Wire was so fucking good.
I've yet to see The Wire to this day.
I think it's overrated. It's good, but it's definitely overrated.
I think the only thing that holds it back is that you can see that a lot of those guys were early in their big time acting career. So the acting
was not there.
Yeah, it wasn't quite there, but all of those guys got astronomically better, like in subsequent roles. You know, like Michael K. Williams, Idris. You know, like what's my guy from Suits? Yeah, like all of those guys got better, but the initial shit was kind of like the dialogue and the plot is carrying this, not the acting. So I think that's why it's different than some of the prestige stuff that was coming out around that time, which is kind of you kind of got to do both well.
But performance focused, yeah.
But I fucking love The Wire. It's
about to talk about the greatest
hey man, you got a case when you say The Wire is the greatest TV show ever, nobody's gonna be like, well, no, fuck you. They're gonna be like, okay, cool, top 10.
Yeah. It's in the conversation.
It's
but I feel like it's the greatest the way people talk about Godfather or like Lord of the Rings, which is to say, no, it's not. You're lying.
Godfather, and we've had this conversation too, Eddie. Godfather 1, complete exposition, had to happen, not the greatest shit ever. Godfather 2 is
no
the
situation
movie. Godfather
where
2
hours
is the movie.
Has to happen.
I agree.
Promise you.
I agree.
I love the passion. You guys.
You could have definitely rewritten that bitch like easily.
I agree. It didn't have to happen. Godfather 1 did not have to happen. Godfather 2 is the fucking truth. Godfather 3
maybe I'll
fucking
read
horrible.
the wiki on the first movie and then watch the second movie.
I recommend it. I recommend it.
We need to get into the main episode, but before we do, Alvin, your mic is sounding, at least to me, still fucked up. Like it's like maybe clipping or something like that.
It's probably clipping. No, like this is what I wanted. Like this is why
we need it needs to be fixed. So like, do we? And I appreciate you for us to do that. So what, Josh?
I was instigating like a motherfucker. No, it was just
how's that
how the line was delivered.
No.
Fair enough.
This is literally
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not personal. It's just we doing a job. That's all. It's all good.
I asked for it. Yeah. But yeah, I am clipping. So I can turn my.
If you can maybe turn the gain down and turn the output up. I don't even know what output is, but it seemed to help. So.
The gain is down and my mic level is up.
Okay,
as of now.
Yeah, output is just like if you're like I don't know, like on Discord, your mic gain, and then you can like switch the output. But if it's already all the way up, then it doesn't help.
Yeah, look, as long as we can hear you, I can boost it in the post. Well, actually, let me end the broadcast just so we're not having this conversation live. All right, everybody, we will see y'all. Everybody, please stay in the call, like y'all 4 or y'all 3. Peace, everyone. Did I forget any questions? No, cool. We'll see y'all next week. Thank you as